Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. And good afternoon, Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League fans. Welcome in to another edition of the mmjhl podcast here on your home for mmjhl Hockey, G-Show Productions, and gshow.ca. We're brought to you by, as always this season, Elite Prospects, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Terrico, Goaltenders, and Movement, Fitness, and Performance. Another solo show today, but a lot of great content to get into in this edition of the pod, as we're going to be taking you through highlights as well as what the standings look like in the league. We'll take a look at the upcoming games, introduce our second edition of our Power Rankings this year, brought to you by Movement, Fitness, and Performance, and previewing the two games that we're going to be broadcasting tonight specifically. But we'll start off in this one with highlights, as we had a doubleheader this past Sunday in the League of Broadcasts. There were 4 games in total that happened in the MMJHL this past Thanksgiving Sunday, and it was, one of the matchups that we covered. The St. Vital Junior Victorias taking on the Transcone Railer Express. Both teams had wins to start off their weeks, although they both looked pretty different. The Vics winning their first game of the season this past Thursday in overtime 6-5. For the Railer Express, looking like a fine-oiled machine right now, fine-tuned machine, as I should say, as they were able to dismantle the Pembina Valley Twisters by a score of 10-1 in Morris on Friday night. And with both teams feeling good heading into this Thanksgiving Sunday matchup, it was quite an eventful one for sure, as the Railer Express started off down in this one 1-0, but in the later stages of the period, Nolan Vandenbush, the Railers captain, taking it all the way to the front of the Vicks net and putting one past Ethan Penner. Penner was fantastic in this game, by the way, faced a lot of shots. The Railers got on the board, though, late in the first period to start off the second period. As the Railers, a little tic-tac-toe to the front of the net, Sylvester sends this to Declan Whiteman, who will give the Railers their first lead of this game. But into the latter half of the second period, as the Vicks trying to get back within one, and they do just that, as Tyler Free, hat-trick on Thursday night, adds another goal to his cap on Sunday to cut the lead down to 1. But the Railers, uh, best offensive team in the league right now in terms of most goals scored, and this example here, one of those reasons. Dangerous off the rush, it's Trey Sullen who will walk towards the middle, leaves this for Ryder McClure, who will send it to the front of the net, where Hayden Cochin will put it in for this group, or sorry, Nathan Turner puts it in, as that was the fourth goal of the game for the Railer Express, and the Railers would go on to add 3 more, as Hayden Cochin would have himself a huge period in the third, scoring his second and third goals of the season, once even strength, once on the power play, to give himself 2 goals in that one, as the power play was working for both sides in this one. St. Vital went 1 for 3 on the man advantage. The Railer Express going 2 for 6 on their man advantage. And hey, Ethan Penner, even though he lets up 7 goals, he battled really well in this game for St. Vital and made some unbelievable saves, especially in that first period. He faced 52 shots in total, so that means he made 45 saves. Not too bad at all, if I do say so myself, for Ethan Penner, even though his team came away with the loss. St. Vital in this one, they stuck around for as long as they could, but the Railers just became too much for them. Needed more offense. Not nearly enough shots or action in the Railers' end in this one for the Victorias, as they would end up having 19 shots, 2 goals to show for it. But yeah, losing the game 7-2. They're back in action tonight on the network against the St. Boniface Riels. And speaking of the St. Boniface Riels, another 3-0 start to their season, heading into the Sunday matchup against the Pembina Valley Twisters, as Pembina Valley was still searching is still searching for their first win of the season, as Bentley Brant and Prairie Sports Network was carrying this game on our Uscreen service at gshowproductions.uscreen.io. It's 1-1 in the third period, but in the late stages of it, the Riels working it around on the power play, sent to that left face-off circle for Garrick Denchuk, as the rookie would score his first of the season, with a little over 4 minutes to play in that period. Into the second period, as the Twisters on the rush, on the attack, that shot misses the net, occupied by Owen Larocque, and then the Riels doing what they do well. One of the best things they do is make you pay off the counterattack, off the rush the other way, a little tic-tac-toe, and it would be Shea Chornley to finish off that feed from Reeves Sukut. Alex Van Dyne's getting the secondary assist there, as the Riels would roll to a 6-2 victory to, of course, like I said, improve their record to 4-0 here in the early part of this MMJHL regular season. Depth on display for the Riels in this game, as they had not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 4 or 5, but 6 different goal scorers. Some defensemen getting in on the action, like Evan Lambert having a power play goal. Alex Van Dyne's had a really great game for himself, as he ended up having a few assists in this one. Nathan Berzinski as well, with 3 helpers in the game. And hey, this Riels team getting some reinforcements back on the back end in terms of Dylan Bachneck, as Dylan was able to get a secondary assist on that 6th goal of the game for the Riels. And yeah, I'm sure number 77 looking strong in his regular season debut for this Riels squad. But shots in this game, similar to the game in East End for Transcona and St. Vital. For St. Boniface and Pembina Valley, St. Boniface outshoots the Twisters 54-25. St. Boniface was perfect on the penalty kill, as well as going 50% on the power play, going 2 for 4. So yeah, St. Boniface, even though it comes against the last place team in the league currently, they've been on a really nice roll to start this season. As mentioned, 4-0. They win their first game of the year, 2-1 in OT against the Railer Express. They followed up with a 4-1 victory, and in the past 2 games, on Thursday against the Jets and on Sunday against the Twisters, 6 goals each, combined for 12 in their past 2 games. St. Boniface, as mentioned, in action tonight against the St. Vital Junior Victorias, will be carrying that game on our network, as well as St. James and Stonewall, as that one will get going at 8 p.m. and Bentley Brant will have the call for that one. We're going to send it to a commercial break here, and then I'll be back to take you through the standings, past games, upcoming schedule, and then we're also going to get into some power rankings, showing you the stats leaders in the league to start things off here, and previewing the two matchups coming up tonight. Stay tuned here on Episode 6, Season 3 of the mmjhl podcast. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. And welcome back to this edition of the mmjhl podcast, Season 3, Episode 6, powered by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. Be sure to check them out today at 995 North Eagle Drive, which is their only store location, as well as if you want to check out their products beforehand. Great way to do that is visiting their website at cancentralsportscards.com. We're also brought to you by Movement Fitness and Performance, Terrico Elite Prospects, and Goaltenders, as we take a look at how the past week of action went in the weekend, as I should say. As there were 4 games on Thanksgiving Sunday, of course, day off on Saturday, and there were also 3 games in total on Friday night, as this is all of October so far. I'm just realizing that. The Vics, of course, getting their first win of the season. Pembina Valley, the only winless squad so far. And how about those River East Royal Knights? Back-to-back victories, as they were able to come back in that victory against the Fort Garry Twins late, as just taking a look at River East. That game ended up going into a shootout, and they, of course, ended up tying things late. In fact, with 11 seconds remaining in that game, high-scoring win against the Charleswood Hawks, who, coming into the season, I'd say one of the favorites to be in championship contention. As we look at the standings, the only two true undefeated teams are the St. Boniface Riels and River East Royal Knights. As for the Transcon Railer Express and Charleswood Hawks, they've yet to drop a game in regulation, but not truly undefeated, as both of those losses they had coming in extra time, as we can see there. But in terms of the power rankings, brought to you by Movement Fitness and Performance, Royal Knights stay on top. Had them number 1 last week. No reason to move them down. Honestly, an even more impressive week for them, as they show resiliency, and they beat, of course, one of the top teams on paper in the league in the Charleswood Hawks. And great resiliency shown in that win against the Fort Garry Twins. As for the Railer Express, they jump up a spot in our power rankings. Really strong weekend for them, as they put up, 17 goals combined over the 2 games that they had. For Charleswood, they bounced back with a strong victory over the Raiders Junior Hockey Club this past weekend, but that loss against the Royal Knights, given that the Railers went perfect on the weekend, bumps the Hawks down a spot. As for the St. James Junior Canucks, they played only 1 game, but quite a statement win for them. 4-1 over the Fort Garry Twins. Big reason why Fort Garry gets knocked down a few pegs was because of the struggles they had this past weekend. The Stonewall Jets didn't feel like With the one game they played, even though they lost to the St. Boniface Riels, felt like, the Raiders with the two losses they had, as well as the Fort Garry Twins losing two straight games, and given that Fort Garry was up in their game too against the River East Royal Knights, and they end up losing that. That's the reason why we've knocked both of those two teams down. Raiders, of course, dropping back to back over this past weekend/week, but yeah, for the Jets, felt like even though they lost, I like the quality in their game. They hung with the Riels for a bit until the Riels were able to break away in that matchup. As for the Vicks and Twisters, the Vicks not doing enough for the time being to move up a spot. Guess you could make an argument that they could have moved up over the Twins, but the Twins, of course, having the head-to-head over them so far with that first victory of the season they had. And as for the Pembina Valley Twisters, might be in this 10th spot for a while unless something changes drastically here over this next week of games and their results. The Power Rankings brought to you by Movement Fitness and Performance. Be sure to check them out today at 1111 Winnipeg Avenue in building number 3, going 5 years strong as a local independent gym. Taking a look at the statistics from around the mmjhl. Declan Whiteman and Nathan Berzinski at the top of the points leaderboards, both tied at 9 apiece. Crazy that they have pretty much the same stat line, except Whiteman has one more goal than Berzinski has, and Berzinski, of course, with one more assist than Whiteman has there. Vandenbush right behind Whiteman. He actually eclipsed 100 points in that victory against the Twisters, so shout out to Nolan Vandenbush. Going to be really interesting to see how many more points he's going to be able to put up this year, which I think it's going to be plenty. I think it's going to be quite a bit from Nolan Vandenbush, expecting him, honestly, to be in the top 5 once the season does wrap up, the regular season, that is. And that's top 5 at the very least. Could very well see him close to the top of the leaderboard, or even maybe on top, depending on what happens this season by the end of it. Tyson Sperber and Elliot Lewis representing the Hawks in the top 10 here with their points totals, but quite a few railers, and they kind of dominate this list right now as they got 4 names here. And look at that, Liam Urcioli, 6 points in 4 games played so far. A huge part of why this River East team has been able to have the type of success they've had so far this season. He's definitely been a big piece in that equation. Owen LaRocque was a big piece in St. Boniface's championship run last season, and he started off his year really well. 960 save percentage, which is the best in the league so far, a 2-0 record, and then his counterpart in Alex Dominico. He's been really great in the games he's played, and as he's 2-0 with a 939 save percentage. Even though Logan Maroney is gone, Wyatt Thomas has been solid in his first 2 starts, as he will be mostly the backup to Sage Delarone this season, as a 907 save percentage for Thomas, for Thomas Wyatt, and Sage Delarone a 926 save percentage. And look at that, Kyle Beelman, former Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy, Buffalo, and AAA hockey player, and even believe he had a bit of a stint in the MJHL. He's down here in the MM, and 942 save percentage to start off the year, and a 2-0 record. Very impressive from our stats leaders to start off this regular season campaign in 2025-2026. As for the upcoming games this weekend, we're going to have Victorias and Riels tonight, as well as Jets and Canucks, as that link will be added onto the website soon for you to be able to watch the game straight from the mmjhl website. That link would take you to our Ustream service. We're also going to be broadcasting a game tomorrow on Friday, and then we'll have 2 on Sunday as well. As just going to double check the schedule here to tell you exactly what we'll be broadcasting on Friday, as we'll have Twisters and Jets for you on Friday, as well as we'll have Canucks and Twisters on Sunday. The Jets this week, they'll be quite busy, as they'll be playing back-to-back days, Thursday to Friday, and then, of course, on Sunday. Same with the St. James Junior Canucks, who, of course, for St. James and Stonewall, the two franchises only played one game each last weekend, as they ended up being the teams to get the Sunday off. As here's a look at our mmjhl broadcast for October. We'll be releasing our November broadcast schedule near the end of the month, or either right at the start of November on the 1st. So stay tuned for that, as we'll reveal it here on this podcast when the time does come on one of our upcoming episodes, as well as we'll be announcing it on our Instagram or Instagrams at Prairie_Sports_Network and gshow_Productions. Be sure to check us out there, as we also post snippets, schedules, all sorts of stuff to keep our followers and just anyone that comes across our Instagram account up to date with what we're doing this season. But in terms of the two games tonight, the St. Boniface Riels and the St. Vital Junior Victorias, this is a rematch from last postseason's Elite 8 series, and even though St. Vital, it's a much different looking squad in many ways compared to what St. Boniface faced off against in the Elite Eight, as of course no more Rubini, no more Nechwaduk, and those are the two notable pieces. But 5 members from last year's team aging out, won't be here this year for the Vics, of course. But I think for the Victorias, you're going into this one, of course, as a huge underdog, as a 1-win team against one of the 2 remaining undefeated squads, and the defending champions at that, in the St. Boniface Riels, who have some of the most continuity in terms of returning players coming back this season out of any team in the mmjhl. And the Riels, they've gotten a great head start to start this season with that 4-0 record. They'll be looking to, of course, extend that tonight. St. Vital at points last year was able to play St. Boniface really tough. They were up on them a few times in the playoffs too, in every single game, but St. Boniface was able to come back. St. Vital tonight, I think what it's about for them is just proving that you can skate with this team for 60 minutes. If you get up early, that's great, but it's about how you're able to keep responding and how you're able to keep the momentum up in a positive direction for yourself. And as for the Riels, this is a team that knows that no matter what the score is, if they're within 1 or 2 goals or even down 3 goals, this team always has a fighter's chance to come back and to end up taking the win for themselves. So I think for St. Boniface, for them, it's about playing their game, of course, getting to the speed, looking to ham in the St. Vital Junior Victorias tonight. And for St. Vital, you're going to need to get great goaltending. I think they had that goaltending this past Sunday against the Transcona Railer Express, but the offensive chances and offense in general is lacking for this squad. So how are they able to step up their game in that regard tonight? And, how are they going to be able to respond and continue to skate with the Riels as the game goes along? That's what I'm looking for in this game from both sides. As for our other game, we're going to have the Stonewall Jets taking on the St. James Junior Canucks. St. James, strong win against the Fort Garry Twins, their first of the season. They're going up against a squad in the Stonewall Jets that also have 1 win. And for Stonewall, they've started off their season facing, well, I'd say 2 of the championship favorites in terms of St. Boniface and Transcona in 2 of their first 3 matchups, right? I think for Stonewall tonight, even though we put the Canucks over them in the power rankings. I think that Stonewall's got to like their chances a bit better in this one. For the St. James Junior Canucks, as well as this team's been able to defend this season and has been able to limit the goals so far, only 7 goals against in 3 of their games to open the season. They only have 6 goals for, and the power play is at a ugly 0% a goose egg right now. And this is also one of the most penalized teams in the league, actually the most penalized team in the league with 115 penalty minutes so far. All of that is kind of a recipe for disaster, to use the old cliche, against the Stonewall Jets team that through their first 3 games is averaging 4 goals as they got 12 in total. And they also have the top power play in the league at 36.4%, which is pretty unreal so far. Stonewall, they're a fast team. They're a team with a lot of skill, and you can make an argument that, their goaltending hasn't even really woken up yet. Spencer Hunnam was one of the best goaltenders in the league last season. I don't know if he'll start tonight. I assume he will, but don't take my word for it. You'll have to check in on the website later. But I think that for Stonewall, looking for a big bounce back here, they've lost 2 games in a row. Going up against the St. James Junior Canucks team that's going to be coming into Stonewall with some confidence. I think if the Jets are able to play their game, able to draw some penalties in this one, and take care of their own net in their own end, I think that Stonewall has a really good chance of coming out of this one well. But if the St. James Junior Canucks are able to find some more scoring in this one, clean up the penalties, the discipline a bit, and start to get the power play going, not goaling, but if they're able to get the power play going, look, Stonewall, one of their weaknesses so far, their big weaknesses, is their PK percentage hasn't been so great in their first 3 games. It's 66.7% only. I know that the Railers and St. Boniface had played a part in that percentage getting to where it's at right now, but maybe that's something St. James could look to finally take advantage of. A weaker penalty kill on paper compared to some of the other teams that they've faced so far to start off this season. It should be a great one for both games tonight in the mmjhl. Can't wait to be on the call for St. Vital and St. Boniface, that Elite 8 series rematch from the 2025 postseason, and Jets Canucks. One should be interesting, wondering how chippy that one's going to get. Of course, Bentley Brandt will be on your call for that one, and we can't wait to bring him to you tonight, mmjhl fans, as we get into another week of covering this great league. We're going to send it to another commercial break, and then I'll be back here for some final words on this edition of Season 3, Episode 6 of the mmjhl podcast. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. Well, you've made it to the end of this edition of the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League podcast. I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. Special thanks to those who tuned in to this edition of the show. If you enjoy our mmjhl coverage, be sure to hit the subscribe button. As on this podcast, we try to keep you up to date the best as possible with what's going on around this great league in Manitoba. Thank you to our sponsors. Some of them purely Manitoba-based, but others, of course, having a bit bigger of a reach in terms of elite prospects specifically. And then our local sponsors, of course, and goaltenders, Terraco, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, and Movement, Fitness, and Performance. Next week's show will be coming out most likely on Thursday. Stay tuned for the details for the next episode. So we'll have them for you at some point before it drops next week. Enjoy all the hockey we're going to be bringing you tonight and this weekend coming up, as not only are we going to be doing mmjhl, but we got high school hockey this afternoon, a high school hockey game tomorrow, College Belleville versus College Jean Sauvé, and then also going to be taking a big road trip out to Shoal Lake on Saturday, as it's going to be some MFHL hockey for the Yellowhead Chiefs taking on the Westmont Wildcats. We got league-specific packages as well as all-access packages available on our Uscreen service today. We're also finally in the process of testing our apps, so can't wait to unveil that news when they do officially come out to allow you to access our content on Uscreen that much more easier, and it'll make things, I'm sure, simpler for some of our viewers that may just prefer using the app instead of the online site, as I feel like the app too, it's probably easier to get our games on your smart TV that way. So big news in that regard is coming soon. Be sure to check out our doubleheader tonight in the mmjhl, as we'll be broadcasting both Thursday games. And until next week, mmjhl fans, for season 3 episode 7 of this podcast, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth. Enjoy the rest of your week as well as your weekend. I hope you have a great and safe one. Enjoy all the hockey coming your way, and that we'll be bringing you as well. And it's Graham the G Show Forsyth giving you the peace out and waving so long on this Thursday. Take care, everybody. See you next time.